Guys, thanks for tuning in to the latest edition of the Porsche Network. In this episode, I'm going to talk you through 7 reasons why everybody should at least consider buying or owning a Porsche 987 Cayman or Boxster. Let's do it. What's going on, guys? My name is Satch and thanks for tuning into the Porsche Network. As I say, in this episode we're going to be looking at 7 reasons why basically owners love the Porsche Cayman and Boxster 987, and these are generally the reasons why I would encourage you to possibly even consider buying one. And if you're interested in seeing more Porsche videos on your YouTube feed, then please consider clicking that subscribe button and click the bell so you don't miss a single thing. I'll post new Porsche videos, hints, tips, reviews and guides every week, and it'd be great to have you around as a subscriber. So we're jumping straight in, counting down from number 7 to number 1, and the 7th reason why I think you should own a Porsche Cayman or Boxster is simply the looks of these cars. You know, these cars have classic looks, they have curves, which I feel that has been somewhat lost in the newer 981s and the 718 Cayman and Boxsters. And the curves on these cars are absolutely beautiful. They're almost the same size as the air-cooled 911s, in fact. Although, put one side by side, you'll notice that the Cayman and Boxster is still a little bit bigger. But it's a more modern car, so you probably would expect that. And no matter what angle you look at these cars at, they always look great. They don't look out of place at other car shows where they're surrounded by lots of other Porsches, because, as I say, they kind of now give off that sort of classic appeal with it being a first generation, certainly in the Cayman, second generation in the Boxster. Now for me, the best looking 987 is the 987 Cayman R, which has sort of more aggressive styling and a more aggressive stance. But you know, with a few modifications, you could get your car looking quite aggressive as well. And you know, a few modifications will completely change the look of the car, depending on which wheels you want to put on, if you want to change the suspension setup, if you want to maybe change the front bumper styling, which is all very possible with these cars. It's all down to personal preference, but that's the 7th reason on the list, and it is the looks of the car. It's what attracts people to the car in the first place, the looks. Number 6 on the list is the prices of these cars. These cars are so well priced, it's actually nearly criminal. I seen a post on Facebook yesterday where one guy had picked up a silver 987 Cayman S, in fact, for £9,000. Now, he probably need to put a little bit of money into that, but that is a super low price for a Cayman 987. So a Gen 1 S, as I say, you can find one from about £9,000. I paid $10,000 for this one. However, I would probably recommend you spend about 12 or 13 on a better car. If you wanted to look at a Gen 2 S car, you could probably pick one of those up for about 18 or 19,000 pounds, and that would be a good car as well. Obviously, you're getting a newer car, you're getting a car which won't have any IMS issues or bore scoring issues. And one thing to remember is that the price will always reflect the condition of the car. So if you're looking at the very bottom end of the price range, then you're probably going to have to expect to put a bit of money into that as well. There's no such thing as a cheap Porsche, unfortunately. So do your homework, make sure you know what to look for if you are looking at a cheap Porsche. And within that sort of 12, 13 to 18, 19 price range, yeah, you could probably go out and buy a certain variant of any other sports car out there. I've absolutely no doubt about that at all. But what I don't think those other cars will give you is the amount of fun that the Cayman and Boxster will give you. And I think it's maybe one of those things that you won't really know what I'm talking about until you've actually experienced it and driven one yourself. Next up is number 5 on the list, and it is the community that you will find when owning a Porsche. You don't have to get involved with the community, but for me, I've met some good friends through owning these Porsches. In fact, very good friends through owning these Porsches. So the opportunity is there if you want to get to know people meet like-minded people, meet people who have the same passion as you about these cars. You just never know who you're going to meet. You just never know who you're going to bump into and where that might lead you in your sort of circle of friends. But I've met some absolutely great people with them. I've been on road trips with them. I've been to car shows in different countries with them. And as I say, you can take it or leave it. You get out of these clubs what you actually put into it. It's not just those clubs though. There are Facebook communities, and there are some very, very knowledgeable guys on the Facebook pages for the 987 Cayman and Boxster pages. So I'd recommend checking that out as well if you are looking to buy one of these cars. And number 4 on the list is more about what the car doesn't have. This car has a serious lack of up-to-date technology, and that's a good thing. It's a very good thing. This is a 2006 car, and it's actually pretty incredible about how much more advanced the 981 cars and the 718 cars are compared to this car. This car has a serious lack of electronic systems, and it doesn't feel like you're electronically attached to the car when you get in it. You know, modern cars, they'll sync your phone up, all of these electronic systems will turn on. With this car, it just seems to be you and the car, and that's what I love in any case, and I suspect that's what a lot of Porsche owners love, and that's why we buy these older-ish cars. It's just you and the car. You've got no over-complicated electronic systems coming in to interrupt your drive. So although I'm actually talking about what the car doesn't have, I do really think that that is a very good thing for this car and the relationship between the driver and the owner of the car. It's all about you and the car and nothing else. Nothing else. Guys, just a quick reminder, if you want to see more Porsche hints, tips, reviews and guides on your YouTube feed, then please consider clicking that subscribe button and click the bell so you don't miss a single thing. I post new Porsche videos every single week. We're on to number 3 now, and it is the maintenance of the car. Maintaining these cars, you need to keep on top of it, but it's not super expensive. It's not going to cost the world to do a service on this car, and let me tell you, servicing these cars yourself is actually, well, really pretty easy in fact. Once you've got this car jacked up, and I would certainly recommend jacking it up on all fours if you wanted to do any work on your car, but servicing these cars is actually really easy, and so is replacing out parts which are faulty, your old parts, and you want to put new parts in. Getting access to these parts is actually not too bad considering it's a mid-engine car. You'd expect it to be quite difficult, but all of the items that you really need to get access to, they're all accessible from getting underneath the car or removing the lid from the rear boot. So anything like an oil change, anything like an oil filter change, an air filter change, O2 sensors, exhaust pots, it's all relatively easy to get access to and work on and replace on these cars. I'm not saying it's the easiest job in the world. You will need to spend a bit of time on it and a bit of effort on it, but it's certainly doable on your own driveway if you have a few hours to spare. And if you do like giving these things a go yourself, I'd certainly recommend taking a look at this kit here. It's the iCarSoft POR version 1.0 kit. It'll cover all of your systems like engine, ABS, airbags, transmission, service reset. So if you are working on your car, I'd highly recommend it to any Porsche owner. I'll put the link to that kit in the description below this video. There's also a very good book called 101 Projects for Your Porsche Boxster. Now this book covers the Boxster 986 and 987, so obviously it's also good for the Cayman 987, most of the jobs in any case. Certainly take a look at that book as well. We're getting into the business end, and the second reason why I think everybody should consider buying a Porsche 987 Cayman or Boxster is how the car makes you feel. When I get into this Cayman, I get a feeling of freedom. And it's not so much a feeling of freedom as getting in a car and going from one place to another. Not that kind of freedom, because you can get that in any car. It's more of a mental freedom. It's a freedom from the daily life, the daily worries, the daily things that everybody has to think about. It's a freedom from all of that, and it allows you to go to a completely different place. Does that make sense? It can make your worries seemingly feel like they just don't exist. And when I'm driving this car, it just feels like it's just me controlling the car. That's all I can think about, and nothing else in the world exists. Even though it obviously does, that's just the feeling that I get when I'm driving this car. And driving this car, well, it's almost like a bit of an addiction. You know, it's kind of like drugs, cigarettes, alcohol. When you're driving this car, it's kind of a therapy, it's a drug, and you're always looking for your next hit. You're always looking for your next opportunity to get out and drive the car. And that's really, really addictive. Look, I'm not saying that this car is going to solve all of your problems. Far from it, in fact. It's not going to do any of that. But in a time when mental health is so important, getting your little bit of therapy that you possibly need and that little bit of break from the everyday life, I think is so important. And if this is the type of thing that makes you tick, then I would certainly say just give it a try and just see how you feel. If it doesn't do anything for you, then great, well, there's your answer. But for people like me, petrol heads, getting behind the wheel of one of these cars is almost like having therapy itself. They say it's good to talk. Well, I think if you're a Porsche enthusiast and you love the Boxsters and 987s, it almost sounds corny. But this is your therapy. This is your getting out and talking, and that can be so beneficial to your personal well-being. Just my thoughts, just my opinion, and it's just how it makes me feel. But if it helps 1, 2, 100, 500 people, 1,000 people, then that's got to be a good thing. All right, we've come to the number one reason why I think everybody should consider buying one of these cars, and it is because of performance. There's a very good reason why these cars are so loved all around the world, and it is simply because of the performance. I don't need to try very hard at all to get my kicks out of this car. You know, the steering is precise, the handling is precise, it feels like a train, it handles like it's on rails, it's got 50-50 weight distribution, so you can absolutely plant these cars into the corner, and the balance is always there. And even with all of this, I drive this car like I've stolen it. I know it's a cliche, but I do. And I'm still getting 25 miles per gallon. That's a very good return on a sports car like this that generally you'll be driving with a heavy foot. Now, if I was going to throw a few figures out there, the Cayman base models, the 2.7 and the 2.9, would give you 245 brake horsepower and 265 brake horsepower. The Cayman S models, which are 3.2, the Gen 1 and a Gen 2, you'd get 295 brake horsepower, which is what this has. The Gen 2 would give you 320 brake horsepower. Not bad, not the quickest cars in the world, but they are quite torquey little motors. And for me personally, that's where the fun is. The fun is in the lower rev range with all of the torque. I wish I could open the car up right now, but there's a big lorry in front of me. Yeah, there are a lot of cars on the road which are a lot quicker than this. But this is a 2006 car, remember. The technology in these cars is actually pretty old. It's good, but it's pretty old. So it wouldn't take much for a family saloon car to top the performance of these cars in modern day 2020. But I don't think that matters because, as I say, it's all down to personal preference. And me personally, I'm not overly fussed about what the top speed of a car can do because, let's face it, how often can you use that top speed on a public road without getting your license revoked? Well, maybe I'm not trying hard enough, but I do want to keep my driving license. So I'm all about having fun in the lower rev range, in the torquey part of the revs, and I'll save maybe trying to get my top speed for when I take it on the track. So in summary, it's older technology, but I personally think that makes the car twice the fun. Oh yeah. Fantastic. Guys, thank you so much if you've stuck around to the end of the video. I really appreciate you sticking around and watching the whole video. If maybe you got some value out of this video or you just enjoyed the video, then please consider clicking that like button. And if you're not already subscribed, as I say, I put new Porsche videos out every week. Hints, tips, reviews and guides on as many different Porsche cars as I can. So please consider clicking that subscribe button if you want to see more Porsche videos on your feed from the Porsche network. I'm off now to find a nice empty open road so I can put my foot down on this Cayman. Thanks for watching and I'll see you on the next episode on the Porsche network.